I don't throw darts at a board. I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. The most valuable commodity I know of is information. Wouldn't you agree?
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
A, B, C. A, always B, B, C, closing. Always be closing. Always be closing. The show goes on!
It's Wednesday night and fantasy football is on the agenda. Grab a seat and let's get down to business. It's time for the Fantasy Boardroom. Here's your host, Tycoon.
And welcome to the Fantasy Boardroom. I am your host, Tycoon, as always, and we finally get our first guest of the 2023 season here in episode 3. I will introduce him shortly, but yeah, we're going to be taking a look at running backs and wide receivers tonight, and as we start to dive into positions a little more granularly, I guess, it's good to have a little bit of help. So I am happy to introduce my good friend here, the CEO of Get Right Fantasy Network, which is home of the Friday Night Mocks and the Mock Draft of Champions, which I'm about to take care of on Friday. It's going to be lovely. So great show. Make sure you check it out. Go sign up. Go enjoy these mocks, although we're getting near the season, so time's running out there. But check out Get Right. And make sure you're watching the shows because they get guys like Howard Bender, Adam Rank. It's great stuff. Can't miss. And he is also a Dynasty League nemesis of mine. He is the one, the only, Rasta. How are you, sir?
What's up, man? What up? What up? What up, Tycoon? How you doing, man?
I am tremendous now that you're here.
I love how you threw that
good.
Dynasty nemesis in there. That was good. We are battling right now. We have to kick Nick out of the two-time champion out of there, and then one of us is going to rise, I think, this year and take it.
He is the back-to-back. I will show proper respect for that, but his team's getting old. It's time for the new blood to step in, and that's where I think you and I are going to have to duke it out.
Absolutely.
We're both a little top-heavy. We're both going to need some luck with health on those teams in that league, but if they stay healthy, it should be real fun to watch.
For sure. Got to dodge some injuries, but hey, we go at it. First or last, right? Especially in Dynasty.
Yes, and especially in this league.
Yeah, for sure.
In the Get Right Dynasty League, it's cutthroat.
Absolutely. Good stuff there. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Appreciate you joining. So, tonight we're going to talk running backs. We're going to talk wide receivers, specifically targets that we have, fades that we have, and, of course, sleepers, because that's really what everybody wants, right? I mean, everybody knows who the top names are. We're going to still try and steer them in the right direction, in those first 8 to 10 rounds or so. It's even though the early knew who they are, you still got to make the correct decision. And then, of course, sleepers. So let's just dive right in, shall we?
Let's do it.
Running backs. Let's start with your top targets. Guys that you're looking to get. They're at. You like where their cost is, right? So you're happy to take them where they're going. If they go later, great value for you as well. Maybe you're even willing to take them a little bit earlier than their ADP. They're just that damn good. You got to have them. Who are these guys?
Absolutely. Well, I think the number one guy on my list this year, man, someone I'm real excited about. Even in a PPR, might be a little controversial, but to me, man, I got a lot of eggs in Nick Chubb's basket this year, man. I have him
yesterday.
Yes, I drafted him today in our, or I think it was yesterday, in the Ambassador League. So definitely off to a nice start in that. Just somebody obviously with the, Hunt leaving, of course, that does open up some target opportunities. They have been saying, that they are looking to get him the ball more in the air. I didn't like what I saw so much in the preseason game with Deshaun just taking off and looking as good as he did, kind of as far as that goes, regardless of how you feel personally about Deshaun, but we're just talking straight fantasy here. But, because you want to see some of those dump offs, of course, happen. And we know with the running quarterbacks, they tend to not quite dump off as much. But I think just in this offense, the opportunities they're going to have to be able to score, With him being pretty much a feature back, I think he can see, 65, 70% of the carries there. So to me, he's just really safe. Like he may not have number one upside like a CMC or an Eckler or maybe even Bijan. But to me, he's just, I don't feel like I can go wrong grabbing him again, even in a PPR and even more so in half and standard.
Right, incredibly safe floor. So I'm with you there.
Absolutely.
Who else we got?
Who else we got for me? All right. So another guy I'm looking at is Derrick Henry, man. I'm buying that dip when it comes to Derrick Henry. We're seeing him go kind of at that 2-3 turn. Sometimes he's kind of been creeping up now that we're getting closer to draft time. And the more casual folk, and I don't want to say casual, just the folks that aren't in this total degenerates like us. But they know who Derrick Henry is. You're not falling into all this dynasty fodder. Some of that haze gets kind of shed over when we're getting away from the NFL rookie draft. And those rookie drafts are happening. You kind of lose sight on guys like Henry, but to me, there's no competing back there. I mean, Tajay Spears does look nice, and we'll get into him later. But to me, his age doesn't really scare me, man. This guy's built like a tank. Yeah, he had a little foot injury, but bounced back pretty well last year. I know maybe some of the more advanced stats, show that he has a little bit of decline. But again, where you're getting him, and again, if it wasn't for his age, he'd probably be going top 5. He's just, again, one of those guys when you're like at week 7, week 8, you're just like, why didn't I take Derrick Henry 101? Like, he's just always one of those guys, especially when he has that patented, 200-yard game or 3-touchdown game, against Houston.
For sure.
Exactly. And one of the most reasons why I'm targeting him is because of that playoff schedule. He gets Houston, Seattle, Houston, weeks 15, 16, 17, the easiest ranked playoff schedule. So to me, he's one of those guys that I would love to leave, especially if you're going wide receiver early and can get him like 3rd round or even, again, mid to late 2nd as your RB1. I mean, that's just a cheat code in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great playoff schedule. My God.
Yeah.
Derrick
So
Henry.
Yeah, exactly. And we all know he eats against Houston. The problem with Derrick Henry,
200-yarders, man. Oh.
Exactly. And the problem with him is the last 2 years, I believe he's played Houston week 18. So this is actually, we finally get 2 games against Houston in the fantasy schedule. So again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure the last 2 years he's had Houston week 18 and not counted for your fantasy playoffs.
That's pain.
Yeah. But get him this year.
One more.
All right. So those are kind of like my high end guys. I'll kind of dip down a little bit, later on as far as ADP goes. And I kind of have, I'll go with this one. DMont, man. David Montgomery moving over to Detroit from Chicago. I don't want to say he's kind of filling that Jamal Williams role, but I think he's part of a good offense. He can catch the ball. So I don't think he's a liability on 3rd downs. I think they can throw it to him still on 1st and 2nd down. He's just somebody, I don't know his exact ADP where he's kind of going right now, but I feel like you can get him like, 7th, 8th round, somewhere in there. Usually. And when I go hero, okay, yeah, I think it's about there. And when, and for me, I like doing a lot of hero RB builds. So he's definitely like one of those RB2s in a hero RB build. Once I have my quarterback, 4 or 5 receivers, maybe a tight end already. And you have your main RB1, he's a guy that if he's sitting there, again, that round 7, 8, I have no problem smashing that draft button when it comes to David Montgomery.
It's going to sound weird when I give my first target here, but I actually 100% agree with everything you said, because I think he is going to fill the Jamal Williams role, because I think he's an upgrade from Jamal Williams, like by a notable amount. I think he's significantly better as a running back. I know Williams had a great fantasy year last year at all the touchdowns. I mean, he had a lot of 1-yard scores. He got lucky that his teammates got tackled at the 1 a lot.
Yes. Raw owners are hurting because of that.
Watched Jamal Williams for a lot of years. He is a capable NFL back. Montgomery is, I think you could say, above average, or at least somewhere between slightly above average to above average. He's a good running back. He's not just completely mid like Williams, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So My first target, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery's running mate. I actually love
Let's
the
go.
backfield for both of them, and I'm actually increasingly liking both of them as the tone around Jameson Williams really becomes more negative. You know, Dan Campbell's words are not exactly glowing endorsements. Obviously, he's going to have the 6-game suspension to start the season due to gambling. I got sucked into a Reddit post last night, actually, about him from some Lions fan talking about, you know, the mentors that they've brought in for him and how they bring him on road trips even when he's not playing. Essentially
That's not
implying
good.
that he needs some babysitting, you know, and
Getting that Des Bryant
they're a
treatment.
little worried about him off the field. Yeah, although it worked out for Des, I'll say.
Yeah.
But
So it could work. The talent's there.
but this year though, it's really cooled me down on a guy I was actually pretty excited about beforehand.
Same.
And I know there's a lot of hype around Laporta as well, and I'm sure he'll be good. He'll be fine, but I'm just never going to bank on heavy offensive production from a rookie tight end because it really doesn't exist. It doesn't happen. It's the best 2 seasons from rookie tight ends have been Mike Ditka, Jeremy Shockey, and Kyle Pitts. I mean, so just I have to temper expectations big time. So I think that
Didn't Evan Ingram have a good first year?
Evan Ingram had a good one too. But I mean, even looking
But
at
that's
all their
nothing.
seasons,
Yeah, that's
I don't have
in
the stats in front of me,
history.
they're
Yeah, that's
still
history.
But and even as pure seasons, I mean, they're 4 tight ends, fine, but they're not like big dominant seasons by any stretch
Right.
of the imagination. They were like solid contributions. So I really think that Goff is going to be leaning heavily on St. Brown, on Montgomery, and on Gibbs.
There it is.
Swift filled the role capably when he was on the field, obviously, and I think they were trying to use a player of that ilk more. They got frustrated with his health, part of why they hate him, traded him, drafted Gibbs. Gibbs is a very explosive and dynamic athlete. Goff loves to dump off, so I don't think that's going to change, especially now that he has arguably an even better weapon to do so with in Gibbs. I think it's Gibbs to the moon. It was a top 5 offense last year. Detroit was. All they really did was upgrade the backfield. That's really been the change. The offensive line is still a top 5 unit themselves in Detroit. It's wheels up for for all those guys. So,
Absolutely.
in addition to Montgomery late in that mid 4th round, one QB actually you might have to go mid to late 3rd to get him. I would take him same area you would take Travis Etienne. That's where I would be taking Gibbs right now. Now, bumping down
They
a
just
little
went
bit
back-
in here.
They just went back to back in the mock tonight. So they went 3-9 and 3-10. Gibbs, Etienne.
Yeah, super
So,
appropriate.
Yeah.
Great spot for him. I would draft. I mean, me personally, I'd be willing to, if there was only one or the other there, say in the mid 3rd, I would even do that.
There you go.
So it wouldn't be far past the turn. Alvin Kamara, I'll keep him a little bit more brief. As much as I love Kendre Miller, I mean, they did bring in Jamal Williams, who I also just shared my opinion on. Kamara will miss 3 games, so that's kind of baked into his price. Typically, somewhere 7th to 9th round, depending on the amount of doubt existing in your given league. He's still Alvin freaking Kamara, and
Yeah,
Derek Carr.
we saw that
town
in the
over Andy
preseason.
Dalton. I mean, I don't know. I just am not going to doubt elite players until they actually show those signs of decline. A lot of people like to, and maybe from a dynasty perspective, you want to get out, a year early rather than a year late. But when it comes to redraft, man, if I can get them that late, I'm still going to take my shot at a guy that I know has top 5 potential. And that's not even crazy to say.
Yeah, I would say maybe more like top 10, but we're splitting hairs when it comes to that compared to where you can get them. But yeah, man, especially when we found out it was just a 3-game suspension. Where you're getting them, I don't think that draft stock is or that ADP has really corrected itself yet from all the offseason. So I think he's definitely a steal. I think he's better in double hero RB builds. I wouldn't quite target him if you're doing a hero RB. just because you kind of want a little more safety. I mean, unless you're going to kind of hit two or three running backs in a row, when you kind of get them there. But for a double hero RB and you get him as your RB3, I mean, that's just you're golden in my opinion.
Great RB3. I mean, steal.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, he'd be going a little bit in front of Kamara right now, probably somewhere 6th, 7th round in most drafts, and that is DeAndre Swift. I mean, I'm always going to bring up DeAndre Swift. Always.
Yeah.
6th, 7th round for the best running back in Philadelphia, arguably the best offensive line in the league, going to be likely another top 5 offense this year. And I know I addressed this in rankings, but Hurts doesn't dump off the receiver or to his backs, blah, blah, blah. Personnel dictates strategy. That's what I will always say. He's never had, I know Kenneth Gainwell can catch. This is not to disparage Kenneth Gainwell. He's just not as talented as DeAndre Swift. It's a really simple equation.
Right. So
now that he has reliable in every way except health, pass catcher there to throw to out of the backfield, as long as he's out there, you can feel comfortable tossing the rock anytime you feel like it. He'll have his rushing opportunity as well on a better offense behind an even better line, which is saying something because Detroit had a good line. And as long as he can stay out there, and I like to have faith that he can, particularly because a couple of the injuries that Swift suffered, one in particular was just quite bad luck. I mean, the guy just landed full force right on his shoulder out of bounds. I was
going to say that was the shoulder, right?
The shoulder one was the unluckiest one of all. It was akin to like when that Cowboy player rolled into Saquon's ankle after the play. The year he came back. That was just rotten luck. So it's not really all injury prone. I think he gets a bad rap for that. I think he will have the ability to keep himself healthy, or at least I have faith that he will. So I'm still willing to take the shot at a 6th, 7th round price in the wonderful situation he has found himself in.
There you go.
That's all right. So now fades, which I'm going to start with because I know we have a couple that we agree on, and I'm just going to give the 2 we agree on right off the bat. Big and nice and simple: Jonathan Taylor and Najee Harris. I feel like Jonathan Taylor doesn't really require a lot of explanation. I don't even know if he truly counts as a fade after the last couple of days because it's starting to get baked into his ADP. He is dropping. For me, also take the shot at a certain point, don't get me wrong, but if he still requires a pick, late or anywhere in the second, I wouldn't take him in the second. Probably would maybe take the risk late 3rd, early 4th at the earliest, depending on, like, say I went heavy wide receiver early and I have a outside shot to still get a top back with that kind of build. But in general, probably got to be at least mid 4th round before I'm really thinking about him at this stage. And I think that's kind of where he's starting to fall to, at least well into the 3rd. So just no interest there. And Najee Harris is the other one. And this is unrelated to the Jaylen Warren hype after his beautiful 70-yard run, which I do love. And I do love Jaylen Warren, by the way. But it's just more that Najee is an inefficient running back. He's a good running back, but he's not particularly efficient. It's really all volume-based. And I know Tomlin historically has loved the workhorse, but I can't help but get the sense with what Warren has shown last year and with that big play in the preseason, he'll get a little bit more opportunity than he did last year. And coming off, he recovered from the injury midway through the season last year, but with his foot, excuse me, Najee did. But I can't help but think they're going to try to preserve him just a little. And I think just that little bit of cutting to volume, even if it's 2-3 carries a game, is going to be enough to knock him down a couple of pegs there in running back land. So kind of out on Najee for that reason. What do you think of my reasoning on those 2 players, since I know you agree with me there?
Yeah, for the most part, everything you said, starting with JT first, just echo it. Like you said, maybe, people are getting a little, maybe they'll move him a little back up or kind of start veering towards them a bit here with those trade talks going on. But to me, fantasy football is just hard enough already, man. Just with the normal week in, week out stuff you have to worry about. So I'm not trying to grab people with extra baggage. I mean, maybe that's not the proper way to play. I'm not all about being safe, but I like to have calculated risk. I like to take my risk in other places when it comes to like my lotto tickets and those, later round picks. When I'm trying to build the core of my team, I'm not relying on my RB1 that has, a bunch of just question marks already around it. You always got to worry about, if he's going to make it anyway. So, and quickly too, just on Najee, a lot of stuff you said, and I think we even saw what you were saying as far as at the end of last year. We saw Warren getting more playing time. We saw Tomlin get a little more away from just that single workhorse back. And it kind of helped Najee out too. His efficiency did perk up a bit, and again, it's kind of just the idea, like they were saying with Pollard last year. We don't want to give him 25 carries because then he won't be as efficient. So I think some of that could be said here. And if they do it properly and kind of move towards a more conventional, split backfield, it could be 70-30, 65-35. And
I don't think they'll
Warren
go
definitely looks
35.
Yeah, it'll probably say closer to 70s, 70-30. They could keep him, a lot fresher and but just to me, I'm kind of staying away, especially what we saw in the preseason. Looks like they're going to air it out more. They really are. Looks like they're really leaning into Kenny Pickett there. So I just think that as well takes some touches away.
Yeah, and that not only that is going to be their goal, but I'm also just don't believe in a Kenny Pickett-led offense at this point in time. So, yeah, little interest. But we'll interrupt for a quick question here from Randy Miller. Thank you, Randy, for joining us. Thank you for the question. Dynasty draft right now, can you help me out? 6-point passing touchdowns. I didn't take an early QB to a Deshaun Jones, Daniel Jones. Dak still on the board. Who do you all recommend? Me personally, Deshaun Watson. I mean, I know it's kind of gross, but I think that's the most talented player on the board by far. Still young enough to warrant being a QB1 on a dynasty team. I assume this is super flex as well. If you're mentioning not taking an early QB, if not, Watson went. All right. So if not Watson, I know people.
Well, that means we made the right pick then. If he just went, so well done, Tycoon. Well done.
Yes. So Tua would be my next choice.
Yeah, that's where I'd go to.
I know. Yeah, concussion worries possibly, but the truth is he's not at any more risk than anyone else to have those concussions. I mean, other than that, he's a little smaller in stature, but as far as his head being fragile, there's no concern there. And then
and it's only one QB.
And it's only one QB, then you're going to be fine anyways. But yeah, I would rank him probably Tua, Jones, Dak in that order the rest of the way for one QB.
That's what I wanted to know. I was like, between Dak and Jones, who you going with there? Obviously, it helps Daniel just sign that 3-year contract extension or whatever it was. So he is going to be tied there. So at least you kind of know what you're going to get. You just want to see them build, some more receivers. I mean, I guess they don't need more receivers. They just need more talented receivers around them, which, they're starting to get. I think they have the most slot receivers in the league right now. But other than that, so that's good stuff. So go ahead.
Yeah, in redraft, I'd take Dak. But for Dynasty, I would take Daniel Jones first. And does Waller Jones stack interest you guys? In redraft, heavily. I'm still a little concerned about Waller for Dynasty. He is, wrong side of 30, or at 30 now. Has had injury issues reappear in the last couple of years. So while I'm incredibly optimistic about 2023, I'm not sure how much I believe in it long term. But it could be a guy you might be able to move after this season if he can get through it really cleanly.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
And then Roman Reister says, "What's up,
What's up, Roman? How's it going, man? Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. If you're watching here from Get Right, man, go over to Fantasy Boardroom, subscribe to Tycoon's show here, man. Get them in there. Support our fellow friends here at Get Right. You guys know that. So yeah, make sure you hit that sub button for my boy over here. Let's go.
And in the
get that little promo in for you.
I appreciate that, man. Now, in the interest of time, not going to get too much into the reasoning, but just mention a final fade on each of our sides. My last one was Cam Akers. Small context. I don't believe that Sean McVay will stick with him throughout the season. I also don't believe Cam Akers is a very good football player. Simple. All right. Rasta, shoot.
Absolutely. So my other running backs that I'm just fading, and there's really no explanation needed. Javonte Williams and Brees Hall, just where they're going ADP. Javonte's a little more reasonable. Brees going like in the second as for how he was, and maybe falling to the third now. It's just a little absurd. So coming off the ACLs, especially in redraft, I'm just fading him this year. I'll be all over him next year. Go buy him in Dynasty, but for redraft, stay away. I mean, unless you can get Brees at like your RB3, especially with the Cook signing, the team's telling you right then and there. Like they could have went and got someone else if they thought he was close enough along to help to contribute. They're trying to win now this year with Aaron Rodgers. So again, it's to me, I think you should follow suit and follow the money. They paid him what $8.6 million to Cook. They're not going to have him pay him $8.6 million to sit the bench. So that's all I got to say about that.
I largely agree with you, actually. All right. So, click the wrong one. Randy, did he think that league is going to fall apart in about 2 to 3 years? So if so, then I'm very much for a Waller-Jones stack. I would go for that. It's certainly
there you go.
Very minimum for 1 year.
Yeah.
All right. So
I might even lean a little more to it that way than if you feel like it's really going to fall apart. I mean, look at his weapons he has around him.
That's true. Oh yeah, no, I mean as a QB, yes, straight up. But if he has a realistic stack option with him and Waller, I like that.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's quickly get through some sleepers as well. We'll start with you. Give me 3 sleepers you like.
All right, so my 3 sleepers that I like. One of them actually was one of your fades. I'll start there. I'll go Cam Akers. I just think no competing back over there in that offense. Someone's gonna have to run the ball. Also like them because they're West Coast. They play in a dome.
So the same
granted,
we heard last year.
Yeah, I know it's all there.
Shit.
It's the same thing, but when you're looking for a guy like that as a RB3, RB4, he's someone that I think. And again, that's what makes it a sleeper, right? Because you have that type of reaction. To me, that's what makes a perfect sleeper, because when he comes out, being like a top 20, top 15 back, he could do it. He could be, the cliche, what do they call that? The cliche trap back. But there's opportunity there. He's further removed from the Achilles, and I think he has a chance to be a sleeper. I'm not targeting him. I just think he could be a sleeper. So I'm not afraid to draft him. I don't draft him too often, but he's just someone that I feel when you get in a right spot for a certain type of build, I'm willing to maybe take a chance on him there. So I thought I'd start with that one.
ADP of 64. That's insanely early. You get to take him early 6th round.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's why I'm not really getting him. I'm just saying I think he could be. I think he has a chance to outperform that. You know what I mean? Like someone that people are down on because of that mindset. I know, as you should, but I'm still backing my guy over here. I'm not fading away. I'll take all that smoke. Let's go. Yeah, he went 6-7 in the mock tonight. So.
God, that's so gross.
Yeah, I wouldn't have took him ahead of Demont though. See, Demont went before him. Swift went after him. Swift went after him. Yeah, he went a little early here, but I wouldn't take him that early. But if he falls like to the 8th, I think he can outperform there.
Nah. Hey,
all right.
Connor,
yeah. So yeah, my other one is Connor. Yeah. No, my other one's Connor. That's the one I'm going to go to next. James Conner. Obviously, Vegas is projecting 2-3 wins for this team. I think Adam Rank, who was on the show with us last week, had predicted they're only going to win 1 game. Arizona is, but I liked what I saw kind of in the first preseason game with Connor. I think he's personally has talent. Like he won me a championship the Lev Bell year. I know some people just aren't feeling him for some reason. He just seems totally underrated to me. I think it's almost kind of disrespectful. And I think at the end of the year, again, barring health, even with the losing record, again, there's just not too many weapons in that offense to go to anyway. I think he's one of the better talents. Between him and Hollywood are really the only 2 folks that they have there. You could argue Trey McBride or somebody else, but that's literally all they have, obviously, after trading D-Hop. So I think he's someone that could creep up on people and be a nice little sleeper, nice RB2 with some weekly potential RB1 upside, when there's like 5 or 6 teams on bye week.
I mean, he should get a lot of volume. I mean, at the very least.
There you go. You want me to say my last one here?
Let's get your last one. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going with man, this is tough to pick out of these guys because I kind of like all these guys late. But I will settle on Roshan Johnson, man. As much of a fan as I am of Khalil Herbert, and I took him into my Scott Fishbowl. I've taken him in a lot of mocks. I still sometimes will either come back and double down with Roshan if I can get him super late. I just think his pass catching ability, in that offense, I like how their offense is looking, this year so far. And he has an opportunity, to take over for Herbert if he does, fail. But I don't really think he will, but I think he could still carve out a nice flex role. And again, if for whatever reason Herbert's not the deal, then I think Roshan could be a nice sleeper. So he's someone that I'm looking to snag kind of at the end of drafts there to see if I can come up on that. So especially if I don't get Herbert early, then I love taking Roshan late. So I think he could be a nice sleeper.
Roshan will have a chance to pop. They're going to run the ball a lot. Me, probably not quite deep enough to be a sleeper, but if you said Akers and Connor, I could definitely say Herbert. Herbert's going much later. God, where is he going these days? His official sleeper ADP is what I want to know. I should have already had that pulled up. But he is somebody I think is incredibly talented. Oh, no, never mind. That's right. Yeah, 111. I mean, it's deep enough. So, Khalil Herbert has a great chance to be in RB2 territory with the overall rush volume of the offense now. Foreman and Roshan will get some carries. He's not going to be some kind of 60 to 70% Belko back, but I mean, I could see something where it's going to be Herbert getting like 50%, the other guy is splitting, or like a 30-20, with the other two. That's kind of the type of way I see it going with the running back split, and then Fields taking whatever he gets, not counting that as part of this. So I still think he'll be the most used running back. I think he's the most explosive of the running backs. He's looked very good virtually anytime he's filled in for Montgomery, excuse me, in the last couple of years. So he's a very capable receiver, very good in that regard. So he just has all the tools. We'll just see if the offense is good enough to really make a lot happen.
Right.
Secondarily, Jaylen Warren. We already kind of touched on that, so I'm not going to get too
Love
deep.
it.
Just think his role is going to expand just a little bit. He's cheap as hell, although since that 70-yard run, hopefully people have forgotten it or started to discount it due to preseason and knocks him back down, but quite cheap. And then my last one, Devin Singletary, also practically free.
Love him.
I'm just not the biggest Dameon Pierce believer. He, in college, only had, I think the most carries he ever had was like 107. So those, and then once he got over 200 carries the last year, he was injured in the NFL. So I do have durability concerns about him because the first time he really tried to, or was shouldered with a huge workload, he broke down. I think Houston, while he will be the running back one in Houston without a doubt, I think D'Amico will try to be smart and tone that just a little bit. And I know he had all the usage in those first two drives in the last preseason game. Yeah, he had 6 carries for 15 yards. So if that excites you, hey, good for you. But I would rather take the guy who's going to get used. He's going to be a flex and bye week fill-in, when you need him, or a flex fill-in on bye weeks. You're not even going to start him at running back, most likely during those weeks, but he will give you a reliable floor that you're just going to need at some desperation time. So there's nobody in that range that's really going to pop and give you some top 20 potential, but this is a guy that's going to be just reliable as hell. You need, 8-9 points. There you go.
And if he scores a touchdown, even better.
Exactly. Just
icing on the cake.
Touchdown weeks.
Exactly. And
what's up,
just real quick before that, Singletary, I have drafted 27% on my underdog best ball teams.
It's gonna pay off.
He's my number one drafted running back. Someone I always find late, in my best ball builds. He's my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th highest drafted player overall on underdog. and number 1 running back. So I couldn't agree with you there more. And I hope you're right. So if he is, we'll make some money.
So to you and to the audience, I hate to say this as we go into this second, but we will have to be a little more speedy.
Let's go.
As we go through the receivers. So Tycoon, I am going to start here with the targets at wide receiver. Let me update the banner here. So targets here: Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Tyler Lockett.
Love it.
I think Keenan is going to be wide receiver 12 this year. He's going, wide receiver 18-ish, something like that. So probably a good round and a half, 2 rounds later than I would probably even be willing to draft him. Amari Cooper, I think, is going to be what I have him at 14. So again, I think he's, and I know you agree with that one, Rasta.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I believe in the Watson resurgence this year. Now that he's had a full offseason, looked good in the preseason game. Cooper looked great last season, period. And still in prime age, so no reason to doubt him. Tyler Lockett, guy is a top 15 receiver literally every year. I don't understand why he continues to get drafted outside the top 30 wide receivers. That is disrespectful to me. I know JSN is an elite talent coming in. He also just broke his wrist. So even if he is maybe back by week 1, which I don't believe Pete, when it comes to injuries, as far as I could throw the man. Anyways, and there will still be, now rust from not having practiced for 3-4 weeks, and he's a rookie. So just give me old reliable and Tyler Lockett, a guy who will probably pretty clearly finish as a top 20 receiver, even though he'll be drafted outside the top 30, like he always does.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're saying 3 to 4 week timeline as of yesterday for JSN. I think we're 15 days away from football. So maybe week 2, week 3 at the soonest for JSN.
Yeah,
we'll see. You need your wrist to catch the ball, and if you come down hard on that again, it could refracture. If you try to come back too early on it. So I don't want to say I'm steering away from JSN, but with him and Lockett going in the same range, I'll take Lockett.
It's no brainer.
Absolutely. So yeah, I couldn't agree anymore. Like you said, we both had Cooper on there. We both had Lockett. So I'll go with another target, and I'll go with somebody that's just a little more higher end, and I'll go Devontae Adams, man. If you want to talk about disrespect, this somebody's probably going to see 170 plus targets in this offense. There's nobody else. Jimmy G is going to throw the ball to this guy. We've seen Jimmy G produce top receivers with Debo, with Ayuk. They've been viable. And I don't want to. I think Debo has skill, but he doesn't have receiver skills, route running ability like Devontae Adams. This guy is top number 1 in route running. Like, it's just ridiculous. He just is
Devontae
open.
Because of Jimmy G is very bad process.
Crazy. Yeah. So to me, if I can get him, if you're getting him in the second anywhere, to me, it's just an automatic take there. So give me all the Devontae Adams. I was big on him last year when everyone was fading him, going to Derek Carr. I was all over it last year, paid off, greatly. Couldn't have been happier, and I'll be doing the same thing again this year.
Same, yeah. A lot of people advocating for the Sun God or Garrett Wilson or CeeDee Lamb, all these guys above Adams. I can't do it. I can't do it. Give me Devontae over all those guys. Exactly.
I'll take them. So I had a couple honorable mentions. Guys like Kirk, and one of my favorite targets that I guess I'll mention here, Jahan Dotson. He got the turf toe injury with Scary Terry. They're not saying it's serious, but we all know how those toe injuries can just linger into the season.
They do.
When you're talking about somebody who can run routes, I mean, Scary Terry, man, love the guy. Dude can destroy opposing cornerbacks. Faced a lot of top, cornerbacks last year, facing Diggs twice a year, and eats them up. And so he's good, but with that toe injury, it could linger, and just Dotson is just the man. You've seen him in preseason. You've seen him pop. Sam Howell looks for him. He knows to get on the ball. Give me as much. And I just took him in our draft here, so I'm totally stoked on Dotson. So give me as many shares of him I can get this year.
He looked particularly good in this last preseason game. He was getting fed, especially after Terry went down. Yeah. So
Snapsy.
Speaking of Terry, speaking of fades, some fades, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. As much as I just said on about Terry, I'm fading him. just because, again, I'd rather take Dawson 3-4 rounds later than where you have to draft Terry. Again, with the injury, the toe injury that can linger into the season, he's just someone I'm kind of fading this year. Another two guys I'm fading, Michael Pittman and Hollywood Brown. Just two guys that don't have too much appeal to me. You got, of course, Pittman with Anthony Richardson. We don't know, exactly what he can do in the air quite yet. He looks decent, but we expect most of his prowess to, happen, similar to Justin Fields with his rushing ability. I just think that the routes he's going to be rugging aren't necessarily his sweet spots. So I kind of actually like Josh Downs a little more there. And I think, Alec Pierce, when he does take the deep shots, they'll probably go to him. I just don't think that intermediate area. I don't think that intermediate area where Pittman runs the majority of his routes. I don't think that's Anthony Richards' strong suit, or for any rookie coming into the NFL right now. We saw him drop off last year when we thought he was going to kind of pop. I sold all my shares of Pittman in Dynasty. Love the dude, but just not feeling him this year, especially in redraft. So same thing with Hollywood. Who's throwing on the ball. I don't discount the talent. Just I don't trust in the quarterback and the ability to get him the ball. The targets may be there. I just don't think they're doing anything with it. Probably low touchdown upside. If they do get close, they're not going to put it in his, put it in Clayton Tune or Colt McCoy's arm. They're going to run it with Connor. So, at least get a field goal. They don't want turnovers in the red zone. So I'm just kind of fading both Pittman and Hollywood in regards to that. So who you got?
So we'll start with the high-end one here. Cooper Kupp is one I'm fading, and it's really just because he still hasn't returned from his hamstring injury from about, 2.5-3 weeks ago, and that's also the type of injury that tends to just linger. That's really it. That's the only reason. I mean, Cooper Kupp is Cooper Kupp, but I'm not going to take him as the third receiver off the board after JJ and Chase like I regularly see. Give me Tyreek over him. Give me Diggs over him. Devontae, CeeDee Lamb, AJ Brown, all those guys over Kupp. He's right at the end of the elite tier, but that's just I'm really concerned about that. And I'm concerned about Matthew Stafford's ability to stay on the field throughout the season too. So I mean, if Kupp down at wide receiver 8 or 9, I don't think that's crazy. I'm just not willing to pay a top 5 receiver price for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
much more with a mid-first round pick. I need more safety.
Absolutely. He did return to practice though yesterday. Logged another practice today.
Was it yesterday?
Joint practice. Okay. Yeah, joint practice. So he's made it through 2 so
far.
far.
He's still in the campaign. All right. Well, sweet. All right. He's finally back.
He's finally back. So he's been out since August 1st though. So it's been 3 weeks?
3 weeks. Yeah.
That's tough. Yeah, I could see why you're fading him. So it's just hard to get away from that triple crown just a couple years ago, and again, no other wide receivers there. But I am big on Jefferson this year, so I guess subconsciously I agree with you too. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut in on your guys. Go ahead. We like to talk over here and get right. You know that.
That's why we do this, because we do like to talk. That's why we're all obnoxious enough to talk about something like fantasy football. That
for sure.
It's ego. All right. Christian Watson is my other fade. Largely just a fade of Jordan Love and the Packers offense in general this year. I just don't really believe in Jordan Love. Watson was predicated on just some absolutely monster home run plays that I know one did come with Jordan Love last year. So Watson Hive, relax. I know. But I just don't see, though, that's not a sustainable path to high fantasy production. I'm seeing him go regularly in the 4th and 5th round, which is just way too rich for my blood. I am fully fading him. And then Drake London is my final fade, kind of another just fade of at least an aspect of the offense. Artie Smith just likes to run the ball. It's just what it is. And then he added Bijan Robinson. They can run the hell out of the ball. Desmond Ridder is not good, I don't believe. London and Pitts will get some. Don't get me wrong; they'll be okay, but nobody I'm looking at. Drake London again. I'm looking at a top 24 wide receiver price. I don't think he finishes as a wide receiver too. So fading him.
Well said.
Then we get into the home stretch here, the sleepers of the position.
Let's go.
Of course, we got to start with again the one we do agree on. Our boy Shoddy B, Rashad Bateman.
Yes,
I
sir.
understand that Odell Beckham was signed. I understand that Zay Flowers was drafted. Zay Flowers made a really nice touchdown catch from Josh Johnson in the most recent Ravens preseason game. Their first loss in 25 preseason
Yeah.
games. Insane.
Go football team or
Yeah,
Commanders.
absolutely nuts. No, I'm just gonna call them football team. I still
Yeah,
like that.
I love that name for some reason. It grew on me.
It gives me, just like English soccer vibes, man. Just football team.
Right.
Actually, I wish I'd
Yes,
change
the
to football
football team.
club. That would be even better. But
Even better. FC football team.
that said, this isn't a slam dunk of a one, but Bateman has performed well when he's been healthy. Honestly, you could say he's kind of been like the Trey Lance of receivers here, wherein he is just not had good luck with injuries and not been able to stay on the field there. The difference is his team is not shunning him after a couple of injury-plagued years for some bum who can't play to take his job. And I mean Darnold, not Brock, when referring to Trey. Just so
Yeah, of course, of course.
Hey, just want to make sure people know this is not a Trey should start over Brock take. This is a Sam Darnold is ass take.
Exactly. And and you remember that was the first thing I said when they signed him. I was like, no, because I knew it.
Fucking disaster. That's
Yeah.
a whole. I could do an hour on this whole topic. Kyle,
I'll have to fire up another pod for that.
just absolute failure from the 49ers. This whole situation. But we're talking about wide receiver sleepers. So Bateman, a guy who I think, as long as he can stay healthy, is going to pop. I mean, I think he'll show a little more precision and just clean play than the rookie and Zay Flowers, who I do like. Don't get me wrong. Odell, I'm just not going to get excited about him. I mean, the guy has been injury plagued for years. He's old. We'll see what happens. I don't expect him to play a whole lot of games, if we're being honest. Even when he does, I mean, I think we're at the downside of Odell for sure. So, Bateman, wheels up, man. I mean, everybody's behind Andrews anyways, but at a really cheap price in Bateman, he's probably going, 110s, 120s these days? Probably even later, actually. So, fire him up. Easy. This is one not a lot of people are going to like. Juju Smith-Schuster is a sleeper I like. And this is opportunity-based. I mean, Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, are all these guys going to just be target monsters that Juju isn't going to really get his? I think he's definitely the best pass catcher on that team. And now they actually have an offensive coordinator again, not Matt Patricia and Joe Judge calling plays for Mac Jones. Don't get me wrong, I don't like Mac Jones. I'm not really a big believer in this team or this offense, but I do think, we'll have like that fringe wide receiver 3 potential that you're probably getting at a late wide receiver 4, early wide receiver 5 price these days in Juju Smith-Schuster. So, and he looked good last year when he was healthy and I know it was with Mahomes, but I mean, like, he still showed a little something. Now, when he came back from injury, it was a little spotty, but before his original injury, the first several weeks of the season, he was looking decent, especially being behind Kelsey. So,
right.
Give me that. And then lastly, I know this one you don't like as much, but Jacoby Myers, guy I like a lot. I think the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be throwing the ball a lot this season. They're going to continue to be playing from behind a lot this season. So while Devontae will be the apple of Jimmy's eye, or any quarterback that plays with Devontae Adams, secondary target will be Jacoby Myers. He's better than Hunter Renfrow is. This guy just sucked in the targets when he was in New England. That's kind of the role that I think Juju's going to fill over there. Part of why I brought that up. They traded Darren Waller, the Raiders did. Really easily the de facto second target. Then we'll see what happens with Josh Jacobs as well there. I do think he'll be back, but still. I just think there's going to be a lot of volume, and his cut is going to be more valuable than he's priced. I think he's a guy that's probably going to be a mid wide receiver 4, and again, a guy who's probably going 130, 140 overall. Give me that all day. And then briefly, I'm just going to mention Curtis Samuel. Partially, Terry's turf toe kind of rides that, but another guy that's just a huge health discount. The guy gets hurt a lot, but he'll give you a couple pop games. So just try and get him early in the season while he's still healthy. I think they'll get creative with him. I think the enemy will.
Yeah, I agree with that one for sure. I have Curtis Samuel 27% owned on my underdog drafts. 1, 2, 3, 4, my fifth most drafted guy there on Underdog on my best ball teams. Someone like you're saying, you can get super late, essentially free. That could be a nice bye-week filler. And if he does pop in those roles when you can throw him in there, with Sam Howell, then yeah, I think he's one of those guys that kind of have the talent, like you said, because of the injuries, he kind of just got slept on a little bit. But when he's healthy and he plays, he's pretty electric. Again, he's used
really is.
similar to Deebo Samuel. Are they related? I think they are kind of related, aren't they? Or they just say that. I'll have to check that. But he's used similarly like him. If you guys remember when he was in Carolina, what got him the giant contract in Washington was his play in Carolina, where he was performing. So I don't think the talent's gone anywhere. He just needs to get healthy and get some opportunity. And I think he has a chance to make it happen this year.
Thought I was going to sneak him in Scott Fishbowl, but Lindsey Rhodes just that half round or so before. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, all right. So we agree on Bateman. We agree on Curtis Samuel. Give me just 2 more sleepers you like at the wide receiver position.
All right. I'll go with Dobbs, man. And it's kind of like Dobbs and Reed, one of those guys. So I'm going to kind of sneak in there and give you 2. I don't know which one exactly is going to pop, but I think one of them are a little opposite with you on, yeah, probably more like Reed. He does look good. They both look good. One shine one game, one shine the other. So I think one of them has the potential to pop. I don't think they'll both pop, with Christian Watson there, but Love actually looked a lot better than I initially thought. I think he was able to control the offense. Besides that botch snap, at first, which wasn't his fault. That's on the center. Maybe it was him. He wasn't ready for it. But once that happened, he came back. So Dobbs and Reed, man, one of those guys is going to pop. Get one of them at least, I think, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, hey, can I say another one, real quick? Real quick.
Yeah, one more.
All right, I'm gonna give another double. It's gonna be Mechie and Collins. Man, make sure you guys leave the draft with one of these guys. One of them's gonna pop too. So I'll leave it at that for Houston.
I like Nico too. Nico's very cheap.
I like those guys.
CJ got to throw to somebody.
And it doesn't seem to be Schultz.
And
I was going to say, it doesn't even seem to be like Schultz in the preseason. We'll see if they're saving it, but he's like splitting time in the preseason. I don't know if they're just doing that to keep him healthy or whatever it is. So what's up, Jeezy? Just got off the phone with him on my way home.
Boy.
Yeah. Appreciate the sub, man. Hell yeah. Make sure you guys sub over here. Fantasy Boardroom. If you're watching on Get Right, come over here. Come sub the Boardroom.
Hey, Mac got Jacoby the ball. I think I can get Juju the ball. Dylan, what up, dog? Dylan, to you.
For sure.
Dylan likes dubs. Ooh. Fair enough. He had a couple nice games last year.
10th round. Yeah, is he really going in the 10th round now, Dobbs?
Right.
Ooh, that seems early.
Am I that quiet? Have I been that quiet? I hope people have been able to hear me. Shoot.
Oh, you sounded good to me, but I don't know.
Well, you got the headphones on. That could be.
It could be that.
I'll turn up the gain next time. We're about to close, but thank you for the tip, Frig. I'm going to make sure I have somebody verify that I don't sound like I'm talking from far away. I have it really close, so I must just need to turn it up. Because I don't have to stand. I'm not going to have it right in front of my face, and I'm not going to talk to y'all like this the whole time.
That's probably how I sound, though. Oh, man.
Anyways. All right. I hate to
good stuff.
Make it seem rushed, everybody. But yeah, there is a target here with this show, so we are going to start to wrap this up. This has been awesome, Rasta.
Thank you. Do the opposite of Frank's advice. See, I got to back up a little bit.
Rasta thinks 10th round is early for dubs. Definitely not making so much. Ooh.
He's calling him out. You might. I have to look at it. I haven't looked at him yet.
You never know. And there's 4 different guys with 4 wildly different opinions and thought processes about this. So you can't really target if you're drafting on the Get Right mocks. Just know this: you cannot say, "Oh, I'm going to think like Frank. Oh, I'm going to think like Mike. I'm going to think like Ross. I'm going to think like Dustin." No, if you think strictly like any one of them, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to try and mix and match and blend what all these guys do. There's drafts that these guys draft first overall, and then 2 of the other guys don't even have them in their top 6. So just
most of the time, that's how it happens.
It's wild. It's absolutely wild. And it does lead to some interesting decisions. One I highly criticize that I'll leave private between me and Anthony, but I had to go hard on that one.
I love it, man. And that's what I love, man, about those mocks. Everybody loves it. I love that they care.
The team I liked, they didn't like so much. And I still think it was my best team. and it's like the one they hated the most. It's crazy.
It happens, man. But that's how trades happen. That's how fantasy football works. If not, everyone would just be drafting the same team and all that. So that's why this is great, man. And we're gonna actually play it out, and we'll see what happens. We'll see who is right, and we'll cash those receipts at the end of the year.
Hey, Dylan, Frank's a good fantasy player. We'll give him credit. He has a terrible taste in football teams, but he knows his fantasy. He knows his ball. Let's
Absolutely.
give Frank a little props.
Exactly, GZ.
Right, honestly, just draft the guys. Once in a while,
you just got to draft like us to get there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. When you get there, the real test is on when we're in the finals.
Yeah, get to the best ball, draft how you want, and then come tell us. Come take my money. That's it.
Yeah, that's the ultimate proof, right?
Perfect.
But it's about time to draw this session to a close. So please, sir, if you could just leave us with your little spiel. I would.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it. Just first and foremost, man, thanks for having me here in the boardroom again, man. So different from the last time I was on here and we were talking draft strategy. But now what is it? 3 years later, just happy to be here. If you guys want to check us out over here, getrightfantasy.com. We run our mock draft tournament of champions every year. We also have our listener leagues and stuff like that going on. We're going to be back when we get started here for the season, helping you guys get your lineups right every week. Monday is going to be our overreaction and waiver show. We'll come in on Wednesdays and do roster management, help you with trades and take your questions there. Fridays our start sit Q&A session. That's usually like a 2 or 3 hour show. We go team by team. So breaking it down, all the players, whether we're starting them, sitting them that week. And then of course, Classic Mike with his Sunday morning show. He'll be there for your last minute active inactives, and you should start sit taking your questions leading right up to kickoff. So come check us out over at Get Right Fantasy. And again, make sure you guys sub here to Tycoon in the boardroom if you're coming from Get Right. So appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on, Tycoon.
Hell yeah, man. Honestly, it's the best. Love having my friends here also that are good minds. It's a wonderful opportunity to have both, given what we do. That's what I
for sure. It's so hard to take like our 3 hour text conversations into just a 1 hour show. I think we could have probably done an hour just on running backs.
Easily. Honestly, I probably could go for another hour, not like no sweat.
Not even sweat. Yeah.
Just can't exactly
for the
at
people.
This exact moment in time. For the people,
it's all
the
good.
Convenience of those watching not live, when they scroll through, they don't look at a 2 hour and 2.5 hour stream like, oh yeah, well, I can go watch Oppenheimer maybe instead. Like a couple of guys talk about wide receivers and running backs. So
exactly.
Appreciate your time, Rasta. Obviously, we'll
absolutely
continue this off stream throughout the week in various leagues and in your show. So it'll be good times
for sure.
But that concludes this session of the Fantasy Boardroom. This meeting is adjourned. Let's win together.
Let's do it.